Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. And I've got RANE product specialist Matt Reay with me today. How you doing, Matt?
Hey Dan, I'm doing good, man.
Good. Usually Matt would come down and show us any new products that have been announced, but obviously we can't do that, so we've opted for Plan B.
Plan B works. Plan B is how the whole world's doing it, so we will fit right in, Dan.
That's it. And this controller, it's been out for just over a week. How do you think it's been announced by the public?
Well, it's been good because obviously this is the first controller from RANE, so there's a lot to talk about. But obviously it's the same build quality, the same workflows, the same ethos behind other RANE products, but obviously now in a Serato controller format. So it's all that RANE technology and build in a smaller, more portable package. Same platter technology, obviously very familiar in some parts of the RANE 70 in terms of the effects and the loop modes. But yeah, I'm sure we'll jump straight into that.
Awesome.
So obviously RANE ONE, let's get straight into this. We have a 2-channel Serato controller, fully motorized. EQ and effects section, obviously got 3-band EQ and then low and high pass filter. And then with our effects, we can access 6 effects from Serato. And I can change the depth of those effects that are all post-fader. I can combine the effects as well. So that's my echo and my phaser at the same time. And the cool thing is, I can change those in Serato as well. They're not fixed. So I can change it to like a, bit crusher or a duck echo or something like that. And of course you've got your tap and your manual beat adjustment for your time-based effects at the top as well. We've got our paddles. So obviously it's RANE. We're known for battle DJ products. So we've got our paddles, latching and unlatching. So maybe there's a few people who are jumping on this who are not from like a turntablist background or a scratch background. I tend to find with people like that or DJs like that, it's a case of seeing how this workflow kind of works for them really, because for me this is like a set it and forget it kind of effect. It's less about the blending because you do that with the depth. It's more about like, right, my effects on or my combination of effects are on, and it's just a different vibe. It's fun just to kind of drop it on the one or like a snare, reverb, things like that. So that's our EQ and effects section. Now with our Crossfader, we use our Mag4 fader. Now the Mag4 was first introduced on the RANE 70, and now it is on the RANE 72 Mark II as well. And you can also use that in the RANE 72, the original version. But here we've got it on our Crossfader, and it's completely user adjustable. We've got our Crossfader curve at the front. We've got our physical magnet adjust if we take the front plate off, and also in Serato, you will have a cut and adjust as well. So you've got 3 ways of adjusting the Mag4 on this. And again, it's the Mag4, so we've got, super tight cuts. It's however you want to adjust it really.
That's really cool, man. What's it like to actually scratch on those 7-inch platters compared to like 12-inch?
I mean, it kind of varies from person to person with 7-inch platters. I mean, for me, I'm always going to be more comfortable on a 12.
Yeah, but you make the 7-inch look quite easy as well, to be fair, though.
Obviously, because it's the same motor as the 12, yeah. It's very familiar in terms of how it responds.
And you can adjust the torque as well, can't you?
Yeah, you can. You've got the low torque and the high torque at the back. I mean, for me, I tend to practice a lot on 7-inch platters because there's a lot of things that you can't get away with on a 7-inch platter if you're working on certain scratches. So I always practice.
If you can get away with it on a 7-inch, then you can completely blast it on a 12-inch.
It's a good way to kind of, do some drills. Like that's a very different feel on a 12-inch format. So I like to practice on the 7-inch and try and get better on a 7-inch. But yeah, that's the platters. Like I say, it's the same as the RANE 12. So you've got your quick release here, and you can customize this with your own vinyl if you want to. Now let's talk about the pad modes because anyone who's a Serato DJ will know these are all the familiar pad modes from Serato. So hot cue, roll, sampler, both slicer modes, and then the save loop. We also have a dedicated loop section on here, which is very similar to the RANE 70. We've got 2 modes now underneath both the hot cue and the sampler mode. So first of all, hot cue, we've got pitch and time. That's going to pitch us some ups and semitones. So if we do some pitch play stuff, which is really cool. And then sampler mode, if we double tap it, we're now in scratch banks mode. And if you don't know what scratch banks is, to people who are watching this, this is a new feature in Serato which expands the sampler it gives you a whole new sampler, essentially, like a more performance-friendly sampler. So in Scratch Banks, which looks like this on Serato, what you can have is 4 banks with 8 slots in. So the way you can jump in and out this mode is really more performance-oriented than the original sampler in Serato. So double tapping sampler, I can then choose another scratch tool, another scratch tool, or another scratch loop if I wanted to. The cool thing is I can still cycle through hotkeys using the hotkey mode on the pads for my scratch tool or loop, or the full track if I want to. I'll go back to Scratch Bank now. I can also set the hotkeys up in Serato. So if I wanted to, well, actually, you can actually hear that doesn't start from the top of the track. That's because I've set this Scratch Bank sound in Serato to go from Q.2, or actually Q.7. I can just see it now. So you can customize these, and to come out of that, you hit Shift and then a pad, and we're back into our original loop. So we can jump in and out these modes super easy. And again, for turntablist routines, you know, it just gives people a whole other palette to work with, just jumping in and out very quickly to, you know, expand on the content, double up the content, essentially. That's what Scratch Bank does.
Scratch Bank, does that come free with the controller, and what other software comes with it?
Well, Scratch Bank is actually a Serato feature, so that's where you can find it on other mixers, other RANE mixers, and indeed other mixers from other manufacturers. So it's not exclusive to a particular unit. This is a Serato feature. Out the box, it unlocks Serato DJ, basically. But if you've already got the pitch and time license, you'll be able to use it with the controller. So as far as the deck goes, well, obviously we've got our platter stop time. And then we've got slip on and off, and then sensor and reverse. But a cool feature as well is we've got our motor on and off feature. We can press shift and slip, and we can have a standard jog wheel feel. And then shift and slip again turns the motor back on. So you can have both worlds, really. Excuse me. And you can see we've got 2 cue point markers here. I always say this is kind of, depending on how old you are, you either mark into the needle or the 12 o'clock position. So that gives you 2 options there. And then we've got needle search, just the top here, or scrub, some people call it. 100mm pitch fader with center dent as well. And you can see we've got the center dent marker. And then, of course, we've got pitch bend at the bottom as well. And that's kind of your deck features on the RANE ONE. Of course, scroll and load with the back button, and then instant doubles, so we copy tracks over if we're doing it with like routines and things like that.
Can you add like a turntable to it, like DVS setup?
There's a couple of ways of using the mixer in standalone and with Serato. So you could use 2 turntables in DVS mode hooked up via line or phono to the back of channels 1 and 2.
Okay.
So again, it's quite a nice distance. I've tried it. It's quite a nice distance between the 2 kind of spaces between the 2 decks. And apart from that, you can actually use this as a standalone mixer if you want to as well. You've got the option to run, again, line phono, and you'll have the EQs and the filters, but you won't have the Serato effects. So there's a standalone option here as well.
Fabulous. Edit that out.
Yeah, fabulous. I'll just finish up with talking about the connectivity. So if you just ask me about that, that works.
Sure. And connectivity-wise, what's the connections for the ins and outs?
Yeah, we're pretty fully covered on this. We've got XLR on the back for the master and the booth. We've got AUX on phono, and we've got, I mentioned before, channels 1 and 2 have a line and phono switchable input. The AUX control is handled by mic 2, which is switchable, so you can switch between controlling mic 2 or AUX on mic 2 control. Speaking of mics, we've got 2 combi jack and XLR inputs at the back, and then you mentioned the talker just earlier. We've got 2 USBs as well for handovers, and of course this is a wall powered unit. There's no bus power just yet for something of this nature. So yeah, we're pretty fully featured for connectivity on this one.
Brilliant. And are you aiming it at like scratch DJs and turntablism DJs, or are you opening it out?
Definitely opening it out with this one, because ultimately you have to think about this in terms of, you know, typically this is kind of the best of RANE in one controller.
Yeah. I could see like mobile DJs and stuff grabbing hold of this. This
would be really cool. I mean, especially like, you know, depending on how showy offy the mobile DJ wants to be, spinning platters is always going to get, you know, someone's attention, isn't it? And it's an interesting one to talk about at the minute. Obviously, as we all know, people are only really playing out on their streams or in their bedrooms and so forth. So it's interesting to think that like who's going to be, you know, using this controller. But again, those people, you know, it's time to kind of maybe look at some new controllers, some new gear. Some people have some time on their hands now. I think it's perfect for, like, you know, wedding, mobile, corporate, even club use when we are allowed to do that stuff again. But ultimately as well, you know, it's for the person who, you know, always wanted to get into the RANE ecosystem and some RANE products, but maybe couldn't afford it. You've now got a nice, compact, fully RANE build quality and RANE sound quality product for not the price of 2 RANE 12s and whatever RANE mixer they were looking at. You've got like the best of RANE in a small package here. But of course, as you mentioned, you know, I've seen some turntablists already pretty well at home with it.
Brilliant. When's the unit available in the UK?
So we'll be shipping first week of February to all RANE dealers and, more importantly, the DJ shop.
Hey. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to give us that overview.
No worries at all, Dan. No worries at all.
And if anyone's got any questions, then by all means, put them in the comments below and we will happily answer them.
No worries. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Matt. See you later.
Cheers, Dan.
Bye.